And we're back. SwamiLee's Sports Talk, Episode 8. We're going to talk about what else but the Phillies' pathetic performance in the first 2 weeks of the season. Mike, quite simply, what's up with that?
Well, let's see. Kyle Schwarber as a leadoff hitter, failure, as I said it would be.
Okay, so just to be...
Bullpen, not significantly improved, as I said it would be.
Wait, hang on. You're literally going to judge Kyle Schwarber after 5 or 6 games. I mean, seriously, I'm not even saying it is a good or a bad decision. But you're falling into the same trap that we dealt with last year. Remember, center field? They give the guy 20 at-bats. He go 3 for 20.
Well,
he's out.
There's a difference between judging Mickey Moniak or Adam Hazley after 20 at-bats versus judging Kyle 7-year track record Schwarber.
Oh, you mean the guy that hit like 20 home runs in 2 months last year? That guy?
No, I mean the guy with a career on-base percentage of about 340 who...
I take 340 in a heartbeat out of the leadoff spot.
Than me. What was that?
I take 340 out of the leadoff spot in Philly any day of the week. That's how bad they've been.
Well, it's not good enough, especially when you consider how slow he is.
Well, I'm not even saying how great of an idea it was necessarily. I'm saying you can't judge. They keep doing this. They do this every single season. You can't judge 5 games, 6 games. You can't say, for example, Matt Verling is not the center fielder of the future. I'm not saying he is. I want to be clear about that. But you can't say he's not because he's batting 180 after 8 games. You can't judge.
I agree.
But last
the book's
year...
not written on Matt Verling.
What's that again?
The book's not written on Matt Verling.
Exactly, but last year the book was written on Adam Hazley after 17 at-bats. It was written on Mickey Moniak after 23 at-bats. It was the most idiotic... I thought Girardi was a baseball guy. I'm at a situation at this stage of the game, I'm wondering, legitimacy. I mean, how did he get to the World Series with 2 different teams? I mean, aside from an all-star roster in New York, he didn't have an all-star roster in Florida. So, I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Well, the part of the problem is he doesn't get it either.
I'm starting to think that. Well, let's do this a different way. Let's because we have a habit of going off on tangents. Let's take the starting pitching to begin with. Okay. Zach
Sure.
Wheeler, so far, I don't think he's healthy. What are your thoughts? Is he even healthy?
The way he's pitched, I hope it's an injury because at least an injury can be fixed with treatment and rest. But if this is the sign of a decline, that's worse.
Well, what happens though if it is an injury and he's out until July? Who's going to replace him? I mean, you can replace Ranger Suarez perhaps, but can you replace Zach Wheeler at this stage of the game?
Don't they still have Jonathan Pettibone down there?
Oh,
somewhere?
don't even start with me. Didn't we cover this last show? No,
that was the Chase Anderson Matt Moore show.
Oh, that's a nightmare of all nightmares. Well, here's the bottom line. Wheeler, I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's declining. I don't know if he just had some bad luck. A bad day. He had a cold that day. I don't know. But Aaron Nola, I think we've gotten to the point where Aaron Nola is the number 4 starter. Is there any question about that?
Unfortunately, it's looking more and more like his 2018 season was an outlier for him.
I can't disagree, and it's unfortunate. Zach Eflin has not pitched well, but at the same time, it's so early in the season. I refuse to judge anyone in this rotation except Nola. And the reason I'm judging Nola is he's pitching identical to last year and identical to the year previous. He'll pitch well for 3-4 innings and get beaten up in the 5th inning. Maybe it's time to make Nola the closer. He's great for 1 inning. I don't know what else to do. Nola does not help this team pitching like a number 4 starter.
No, you're right.
Kyle Gibson is what he is. And Kyle Gibson is a 3/4 starter. He's fine. He ain't doing great. Don't get me wrong now. But he does what he does. And I think he's
He
been
does
solid.
what they need him to do, more importantly.
Exactly. And Ranger Suarez, we don't know. Remember, he didn't pitch in the spring. They were working up the innings. I won't even judge him until he starts pitching at least 5-6 innings per start. But while he's on a pitch count, he just has to get himself back. And I know he has not pitched well. What are your thoughts about that?
No, I agree with everything that you've said about the starting rotation. It's too early to judge this season for anyone other than Nola, because we're seeing too much of what we saw from Nola, not just last year, but in 2020 as well.
Correct. So now the bullpen, which remember was a disaster in 2020. I mean, it was probably, I think it was the second worst bullpen in Major League history. Last year was just bad, and believe me, if they'd been bad in 2020, they would have been in the playoffs. So that's when you're historically bad, it's different. This year, they do have some arms that are pitching okay. They have some arms pitching well, and then they have Jeurys Familia. I would love. I wish this show had enough cachet where I could get somebody from the Phillies on, where I could ask them, why in heaven's name did you sign Jeurys Familia? What did you see in him that would lead you to believe he was a major league pitcher still?
Refresh my recollection. How much did they pay him?
Oh, I think it was $3 million or something like that. I mean, it wasn't about the money, or is it? It was either $3 million or $5 million. Put it you that way. Either way,
Well,
it's not about the money. At $1 million, he's overpaid.
But listen, Lee.
Yes.
In the past, you've said about comparable signings like the unlamented Delman Young, low risk, high reward.
Correct.
Why wouldn't you say the same thing about Jeurys?
No, there was no possible reward. Okay? He stinks. He stunk last year. He stunk in 2020. He's older. He stinks. There's no reward at the end of the rainbow. Okay? Matt Moore, I honestly felt there could have been. I wasn't promising it, but I thought there could have been. Chase Anderson, I thought there could have been. Again, they both stunk and they should have been cut in the middle of May, but not the point. There was absolutely Corey Knebel, or Nebel, whatever his name is. Again, he was a low risk, high reward pitcher, and so far I'm not going to judge him even positively after 5 games, but he's pitching well. But he's had success in the last decade. Familia stinks. The Mets fans were laughing at us when the Phillies signed him.
Well, for some guy, I hate to throw out cliches and platitudes, but sometimes a change of scenery is all a guy needs.
Not when a guy stinks. So let's move on to another guy.
Well, hold on. I just have to add, I didn't like the Jeurys Familia signing. I saw no reason to think that he was going to be even mediocre this year based on his performance the past few years. I was just trying to argue.
No, but you can't argue when a player just stinks. Okay? Meanwhile, okay, Mike, you got 20 seconds. Tell me something about Andrew Bellotti. Anything. Give me one piece of information of any kind of Andrew Bellotti. Anything.
Okay, here's one piece of information. When they cut the rosters by 2 spots at some point in the next few weeks, I think there's a good chance he's one of the players who doesn't make that cut.
And I'm going to counter that and say there's a chance he's going to be one of the players who does make the cut. Your favorite player, Christopher Dirty Sanchez, he's going down. Okay, so the question is, who's the other one? And Bellotti so far, and again, it's 3 innings. We're not going to get excited over 3 innings. But he hasn't given up a run in 3 innings. Okay, I don't know.
How many other people in that bullpen can you say that about?
That was my point. I mean, Familia's given up a run in almost every game he's pitched. Okay, I think the first game he didn't give up a run. So, I don't know a thing. By the way, I couldn't tell you a thing about Bellotti except he came up with the Rays. That's all that I know about him. I don't know a single thing else, so don't expect me to give you any more information. But the point of the story is, wouldn't it be nice if for once the Phillies had a bullpen success story with a guy that came out of nowhere and actually pitched well?
Sure.
That last happened when? 1921? I mean...
Well, wouldn't you say that happened to Ranger Suarez before they made him a starter?
No, because Ranger Suarez is a prospect. I mean, I see what you're saying. But Ranger Suarez is a prospect. Now, he may succeed, he may fail, but he's a prospect. I'm talking about finding a diamond in the rough. I'm talking about getting somebody off the junk heap, okay, which every other team does. Remember Watson, who was in camp with the Phillies last year, who just retired, by the way, the other day? I think it was Tony Watson. He went to the Angels, and he actually pitched pretty well, while all the guys the Phillies kept stunk last year. Just every now and then. Hobie Milner. Remember Hobie Milner?
Sure.
He's pitching pretty well in Milwaukee right now. I'm not saying Hobie Milner's going to be pitching well by the time September rolls around. Not my point. But wouldn't it be nice if occasionally the Phillies found a player who would do well out of the blue who they didn't count on?
It sure would.
So anyway, that's my point on Andrew Bellotti. So I believe the bullpen is pitching better than it did last year, though it still is not very good. Let's be clear. But it's better than last year, and of course, last year was better than the year before. We're making progress. The rotation has taken a step back. That's going to hurt. Familia is still in the bullpen. That's going to hurt. So, in conclusion, on the pitching staff, Mike, what are your thoughts on the pitching staff itself moving forward? Because remember, this team has to win 88 games. And right now, it ain't looking good.
Well, it's really too early, as we agreed, to judge the starting rotation. But even if we agree that the bullpen has taken baby steps forward,
and it has,
that's not going to be good enough, especially if the starting rotation continues to look as it has.
I would have to agree with that. So let's move on. Let's move on. We really have nothing to talk about on the defense because I don't think anybody can sit here and say the defense has cost them any games. And yes, they are not a good defensive team as we've discussed. We watched Alec Boehm make 3 errors in one game, and little brouhaha showed up about him making that comment. But guess what, Mike? Alec Boehm is hitting. On the rare occasion Girardi plays him. What's up with Girardi not playing him, Mike?
Well, it's long since I've claimed to understand what's going on in Joe Girardi's head.
Fair enough.
I mean, yeah, does Girardi have a track record of not liking younger players?
Yeah, but he doesn't have... I mean, let's be honest for a minute. I have to admit, Johan Camargo is playing like Mike Schmidt. It's not going to last. We know he'll be exposed over time. But I have to admit, Camargo has to play until he stops hitting. But that being said, when other players hit, they get benched the next day. JT goes 4 for 4, he's off the next day. Boehm goes, I think, 3 for 4, he's off the next day. Stott had 2 hits early in the season, he's off the next day. Yet Camargo, as the only plus defender the team has, aside from Real Muto, I guess that's why he keeps playing him every day?
Could be.
Oh, by the way, the other player going down to the minors probably is going to be that Bryson Stott. And I've got no problem with it. Before I give you any of my views, Mike, what are your thoughts about? And again, remember, there's still a week and a half to go. So everything could change in a week and a half. But if the cut was right now, okay, I'm cutting Stott. What are your thoughts on that?
I wouldn't have a problem with that, only because you want a player his age to get as much playing time as possible, as many at-bats, and he's going to have a better chance of doing that in Double-A or Triple-A than he would up here.
100%. I'm not giving up on him. I'm not even doing that 20 at-bat and send him down. This isn't center field situation. Okay? They obviously want to play Gregorius every day. Okay, because he's playing every stinking day, despite his batting average being, he's not exactly, he's not exactly setting the world on fire. Okay, and yet he's playing pretty much nearly every day. I mean, he's played in 11 games. I think they've played 12, as of this recording.
13.
I mean, and Gregorius, his average is up. He had a big game the other day, but he's not exactly dominating. So they want to play him every day. They want to play Camargo a lot. You got to get Boehm at bats while he's hitting. And again, if he goes 0 for 10, maybe you give him a day off. But for heaven's sake, he's hit every time he's played. And you need offense because your offense isn't hitting. Why would you bench the one guy that's hitting?
Well, maybe you're just not as good a manager as everybody thought. Maybe you're getting stupid marching orders from front office people who don't know how to set a lineup.
Could be. Oh, and to get back to Stott for a moment, I agree. I just want him getting at bats. And I want him back here by June or July. But I want him to get at bats. He's not getting enough at bats. He's struggling. He went 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts the other day. I'm not giving up on him. I'm not even upset with him. But you're not helping him playing him 2 to 3 days a week. You're actually hurting his progress. So
I agree completely.
It was a nice idea. And again, if he had hit 350 in his first week and a half, maybe you play him every day. But this team has got to win. It can't have the growing pains of a young shortstop at this moment, who does not have a lot of experience above Double-A. So you've got to get him some experience.
I agree. And the fact is, having him sit on the bench while they trot Didi out there 5 days a week is not helping him, and it's not helping this team either.
Actually, it may be helping the team short term, but it's certainly not helping the team long term. It's not helping Bryson Stott. And again, whoever said, I have a great idea, I'm going to give Didi Gregorius a 2-year contract last year, should have been fired. I don't care who it was. I for the life of me, I don't know where he got the 2-year contract from. 1 year, well, I would have given it to him.
Even short term, I don't think that Didi Gregorius has had a hell of a lot to do on the positive side of their 5-8 season.
Yeah, but again, he's hitting 286, so it's not like he's not hitting. Okay, but it's so early, your average can jump 50 points in one game, so It really doesn't mean anything. But the bottom line is they're stuck with a $14 million contract. If they cut him at all, let's say he's hitting 230 in July and stock comes up, he's hitting 280. Maybe you do, but you're only going to eat a small amount of money. Right now they're going to eat nearly $14 million. They cut him in July, they're going to eat $7 million. So I see that potential if Stott comes back at hitting well and Gregorius isn't hitting at all. Other than that, he's there. Nick Maton, he's sitting in the minor leagues. He's major league ready. He's a utility infielder, but he's major league ready. But they've no room for him because they got all these old guys on the roster.
Well, even though John Middleton has shown some willingness to spend, I don't think that's going to extend to eating millions by releasing Didi.
Not now. Again, maybe towards the end of the season if he's really, really bad. But I don't think he's going to be really, really bad. If he's hitting 250, you're not cutting him because he's a veteran, a veteran presence for hitting 250. You're going to keep him. But if he's really, like last year, he barely broke 200. If he was doing that again in August, I could see it happening, or even late July. But I don't think it's going to happen. So let's go real quick. Let's go around the diamond real quick. First base, you've got Rhys Hoskins, and guess what? He's Rhys Hoskins. He does the same thing every year. So, he's an okay first baseman.
He is an okay first baseman. Do you think that they're going to move on from him now or do you think they'll keep him figuring he could be a first baseman DH for another 4 or 5 years?
Let me put it to you this way. If he wants a 1-year extension, I will consider him. If he wants a 3-4 year contract, unless he puts together one hell of a season this year, no. You can get a non-fielding 250 hitting first baseman who hits 25 home runs, knocks in 80 runs for next to nothing. Not to mention, if Bohm continues to hit, and again, it's way too early to get too excited, he could be as good defensively as Hoskins, because Hoskins is Derek Jeter in the field without the ability to catch the ball. Hoskins has no range. Of course, we know Jeter had no range, but Jeter was sure-handed. Hoskins isn't even sure-handed. So we've got Segura at second base. And what are we thinking about him so far?
I think whether it's good or bad, I think he's secure there unless things go way south.
Well,
I certainly it seems like considering the questions and the issues there that other positions, Girardi and management aren't going to worry about Segura just because they have so many other positions to worry about more.
true. Now, I believe his contract is up at the end of the year. If that is the case, Gene, it's been nice knowing you. You can hit 300 somewhere else next year. And I'll put my money on it that if he leaves here in the offseason, he hits 300 next year. Because that's what these players do. They come to Philly, they can't hit. They leave, and all of a sudden they become superstars. Now, we've already addressed shortstop and third. The outfield, I mean, obviously Harper's going to hit, so we can kind of skip over him. Just a matter. Not everybody's going to, hit 400 the whole season. We mentioned Verling briefly earlier on. He is an I, as we would say in school, as an incomplete. We don't know what he's going to bring, but I'm certainly not ready to give up on him after his performance last year. And
I agree.
We have the Schwarber. We'll start one individual each. Obviously, Schwarber's struggling. Obviously, we know you're not a big Schwarber fan. Are you ready to give up on Schwarber? Not that you can, because you got 3.5 more years.
As a fifth or sixth hitter, no.
Wait, you're not ready to give up on him. You just didn't want him leading off, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Castellanos seems to be doing as advertised. I mean, nobody is hot. Nobody's going crazy. There's no C.J. Cron here on the Phillies right now or Vlad Guerrero. But Castellanos is hitting a little bit. I mean, he's probably the hottest hitter on the team. I mean, he's hitting over 300. Not many Phillies who can say that. And, of course, JT's going to hit. He's going to hit 270 by the end of the year, 268, 272. Great catcher. Love him. So bottom line, Mike, as always, well over time. What's going to happen? Well, tell me about the next 24 games. Are they going to be out of it by the time that game 35 rolls around? Or are they going to pick it back up?
Well, even if they pick it back up a little bit, that won't do much for them. But I could certainly see them splitting the next 24 games, 11 and 13, 12 and 12, maybe 13 and 11.
So bottom line is they're a 500 team and they're not making the playoffs. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I got to say I disagree. I'm sticking with them, at least for the time being. But at the same time, it is difficult to be confident in this team. It is. I can't. My confidence level in Girardi is really running down. And I mean, I just want to know how every other team can bring in a scrub and he turns into a superstar, at least short term. And the Phillies can't even get their superstars to be superstars. Are they cursed? Did a shaman come in and curse the team? I don't know what it is. But seriously, not one player on this team. I mean, there's some guys doing pretty well. I mean, Real Muto is doing decent, and Castellanos is doing decent. But there's not one player on this team who's having a great first 13 games. Now, I haven't gone over to all 30 teams. But I guarantee you, most, if not all, the contenders have at least one guy who's having a great start to a season.
You're absolutely right about that.
But we're getting so used to this happening. It's every year, and then every team, their rookie at least has a start. Maybe they come back to earth in the middle of May, but they have one or two rookies that do well. Of course, the Phillies rookies come in, they can't hit. I don't. I swear to you. Was the stadium built on a Native American burial ground? I mean, what is it that makes players just become total failures when they come to Philly?
If I had that answer, I'd be either an award-winning psychologist or a successful major league coach.
I hear you. Well, we know you're neither one of those. So anyway, we're definitely over. So we're going to leave you for next time. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hit the like button if you like it. Subscribe if you like to subscribe. Make me feel better about myself. Until next time, I'm SwamiLee.
I'm Mellow Mike.
And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye-bye.